Being the head coach of a professional sports team is not easy. It's one of the most demanding occupations you could think of. But imagine being a great head coach that doesn't get the credit he deserves. I'm Mike Cantalupo, and today we dive into the 10 most underrated coaches in sports. And a big thanks to Crippling Depression. Strange name, but great suggestion. Also, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button. Number 10. Bruce Boudreau. The Washington Capitals were one of the biggest laughingstocks in the NHL for most of the 2000s. Then they brought on Bruce for his first NHL head coaching gig during the 2007-2008 season. Next thing you know, this laughingstock wins 4 straight division titles, including a President's Trophy. Having Alexander Ovechkin helps, I guess. Despite having a winning record, Boudreau was fired 2 months into the 2011-2012 season. He was then hired by the Anaheim Ducks. He failed to take them to the playoffs that season, but during the next 4 years with Anaheim, Boudreau coached them to the Pacific Division titles in each season. Now head coach of the Minnesota Wild, Boudreau will look to turn around another struggling organization. He's proven he's capable, but sadly, his lack of a championship has prevented him from getting the respect that he deserves. Number 9 is John Fox. Denver Broncos fans will forever have a bad image of John Fox. The fact that they didn't win a Super Bowl in the 4 years with him, despite fielding so many talented teams. But come on, he still guided them to 4 AFC West titles and 1 AFC championship. He went 48-18 during his time in Denver. Oh, and remember when the Carolina Panthers were irrelevant? He only guided them to Super Bowl 38, where they just narrowly lost. I mean, this year, he wasn't a good coach, but still underrated. Number 8 is Ken Niumatalolo. Number 8 is Ken Niumatalolo. Better. Navy is one of the more successful NCAA football programs, but they, along with their head coach, will never get the same amount of attention as Nick Saban's Alabama, Urban Meyer's Ohio State, or Clemson's Dabo Swinney. Pity, because Niumatalolo, get in there, has run a very successful program since taking over the team in 2007. Number 7 is Rick Carlisle. The Dallas Mavericks are currently in rebuilding mode, but don't overlook their success for a decade and a half. Carlisle became the Mavericks head coach in 2008 and has coached them to 4 50-win seasons. Number 6 is Bruce Arians. The Indianapolis Colts hired him to be their offensive coordinator in 2012. Head coach Chuck Pagano was diagnosed with leukemia, and during that battle, Arians was the interim head coach. He went 9-3 with the Colts and made a surprise playoff appearance. After that, the Arizona Cardinals were impressed enough to hire him in 2013. He coached the Redbirds to a 34-14 record throughout his first 3 seasons, including a trip to the 2015 NFC Championship game. Sure, they didn't live up to the potential that everybody thought they were going to live up to this year, but that doesn't mean that he's not an underrated coach. Number 5 is Michel Therrien. Can you tell I'm not Canadian? Though Montreal Canadiens fans are very critical of him, he's actually been a very solid coach. He helped the 8th-seeded Canadiens knock off the top-seeded Bruins in the first round of the 2002 NHL playoffs. Then he became the head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins from 2005 to 2006. He got them to the playoffs in 2007 and helped them reach the finals in 2008 after so many years of being awful. He then joined the Montreal Canadiens for the 2012-2013 season, guiding them to the Northeast Division title. Number 3 is Brad Stevens. Stevens became the Boston Celtics head coach at a young age of 37 in 2013. It was a rebuilding year for them, and they only won 25 games, but the next year, Boston went 40-42 before being swept in the opening round of the playoffs by the Cleveland Cavaliers. They followed it up with 48 wins in 2015, but lost in the first round of the postseason again. Still, Boston had a tough time moving on from the Big Three era of Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett. Stevens overtook a young core and has built a team that's ready to win for many, many years. Number 2 is Barry Trotz. Trotz is a great example of how persistence pays off. He was the first head coach in Nashville Predators history and stood behind the bench for 15 years. After years of misery, Trotz guided the Preds to the playoffs in all but one season from 2004 to 2012. Trotz got fired in 2014, but the Washington Capitals hired him, and he went on to a 101, 44, and 19 record in his first 2 seasons. Number 1 is John Harbaugh. The Baltimore Ravens were a lost franchise. Then John Harbaugh became the head coach, and boom, greatness. In 6 of his first 7 seasons as head coach, Harbaugh took Baltimore to the playoffs. They reached 3 AFC championships and won Super Bowl 47. But, of course, Mike Tomlin and Bill Belichick have more Super Bowl appearances, so Harbaugh sadly gets overlooked. What other head coaches do you think are underrated? Join us in the comments below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps us out a ton, and we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to Total Pro Sports though, hit the subscribe button because we put out videos like this every single day. Until next time, I'm Mike Cantalupo. Thanks for watching.